Yeah, thank you, Fernando, for the introduction and also a warm welcome from my side. As Fernando said, we have prepared a very nice agenda for you in this webinar. 4 sections by 5 speakers. I will start with a small introduction, then Andrea and Kerstin will present you specific results concerning our market study. Sarah will then take over for presenting some possible solutions for decarbonizing logistics sites, and in the end, Scarlett will present some things concerning the value of specific logistic assets. So let's dive in to the important topic of sustainability and quantification of emissions from logistic chains. So please, Kerstin, could you share
I don't have the,
the
yeah, now
slides?
I can take it.
Great. And we can jump to the next slide directly, where we see the development of the path to an international standard. So as you might know, in 2012, the European standard 16258 was published, but since there was still a room for interpretation in the application of this standard, working groups formed and which particularly saw the need for an international standard. In this context, I want to highlight the international harmonization efforts of the GLAC framework, a valuable guide to calculate emissions hosted by the Smart Freight Center, and our Fraunhofer IML guide for calculating emissions at logistic hubs. These activities then led to the elaboration of an international standard, the ISO 14083. The standard addresses and describes the method behind the greenhouse gas assessment of logistic hubs and also of logistic chains, and also includes now logistic hubs, especially transshipment locations. Next slide, please. We as Fraunhofer IML were involved in the development of this ISO, and the publication took place in March of this year. And the European standard 16258 was replaced in this context, and further translations, for example, the German translation, were also published. In addition, Smart Freight Center published version 3 of the GLAC framework recently, and we at Fraunhofer IML are planning to update the guide for logistic hubs by the end of this year to adapt it to the ISO requirements. Next slide, please. But nevertheless, there is still a huge knowledge gap for logistic hubs regarding environmental performance, greenhouse gas emissions, and specific reduction potentials. And therefore, we focused in the project GILA logistic hubs with a specific focus. And within this 3-year project, we conducted the mentioned market studies to fill the knowledge gaps and to address the overall objective to identify main influencing parameters in energy efficiency and to elaborate average greenhouse gas emission intensity values for logistic hubs. Partners who are involved in this market study are shown here on the slide on the left side. Besides Fraunhofer, the Politecnico di Milano, Greenrouter, and the Universidad de los Andes are involved. Big thanks at this stage for this brilliant cooperation, but also thanks to all participants for supporting this research. Next slide, please. We try to reach as many logistic hubs as possible worldwide, and we are struggling, but we are still at the beginning, but have already been able to achieve a greater range, a greater reach within the GLAB project. So in 2021, we started with nearly 160 hubs in 14 countries and have now around 850 hubs in 33 countries in the 2023 market study. And I think this illustrates the successful extension of global coverage, but of course we will not stop yet. And we will elaborate more potential for a greater global coverage. Next slide, please. For a smooth data collection within these market studies, we offer our ref tool. Companies can register for this specific tool and add their primary data. You see the link in the first line for this ref tool. Within this tool, clients are able to customize the surveys for data collection per site type. And of course, all the collections and reports are aligned with the current ISO 14083. The results help us to enlarge our current database of more than 900 sites. And of course, we try to update the average KPIs for logistic hubs on and on. Furthermore, you see it on the right side, we plan to integrate more languages into the tool. Right now, the ref tool is working in German and English, and we are planning to integrate also the Italian and the Spanish language. So yeah, I've mentioned the customization of surveys within the ref tool. So let's have a brief look on that for people who may not have used the ref tool in the last market study. When using the tool, you start with the classification of the site and some other basic data. For example, you can classify the type by, if it's a transshipment or a site, a warehouse, container terminal, etc. You can choose the temperature level, and you can also add the other basic data like the building year, the location of the site, etc. Next slide, please. Then one has the possibility to enter specific annual data. For example, throughput in tons, or you can also use an alternative unit, and you can add the annual consumption concerning the electricity, heating energy, or you can add refrigerant consumptions, and you can also add some optional things like transport packaging. And moreover, we give the option, you see it on the bottom of the slide, to rank sustainability measures in the context of logistic sites. But enough with this technical background. I will now hand over to Kerstin, unless there are some questions. And Kerstin will then start to present you the results of the market study 2023.